record. How about that? And we'll share it with everyone that can't make it. Usually we stream to Facebook, but it's not playing ball. But anyway, hi, nice to meet you all. I am Kate, and I work in the Devant team. I do all of the event organizing, so all of these wonderful events you're attending. I do all of that, and the design and the website and the marketing and all the things. So that's me. If you have any questions about Devant and the services we offer, I can help tonight as well. So
we have Chandel here. Chandel's from King's University in London. Can you hear me okay? Because I have a little sign that says internet is unstable.
No, you're all good on my end.
Am I coming in loud and clear?
Yes.
Okay, good. Welcome everyone. Okay, got thumbs up from Chandel. Thank you. Yeah, feel free to introduce yourself in the chat. I can see some familiar names from the last few events. It's so nice to see the same people coming in as well. That's great. Awesome. So a lot of today is going to be some discussion around networking, because at our last event next week, there's a few people who said that they were feeling uncomfortable with networking, especially when it comes to speaking English. I totally get that. So I'd like to be able to get us to practice a little bit today if we can. And I also got a message here from Kapil. He is from Canada, previously worked as information security analyst, currently studying cybersecurity at Lambton. Awesome, welcome. Okay, so I think we're going to get started. We'll get Kate to put the slides up soon. Awesome. And just while we're waiting, I want to see kind of a show of hands. Who feels a little bit nervous when it comes to networking? Does it feel uncomfortable, especially when it comes to speaking in English?
I can imagine that's so scary.
Yeah. Yes, I can imagine. It would be very nerve-wracking for sure. I'm starting to learn Spanish and I've yet to have the guts to speak it out loud. I just practice typing because I'm scared to speak it out loud. So I totally get it. Awesome. So welcome to our Career Cafe. This is by far my favorite event. It's definitely just more of a casual event where we can chit chat, find out more about your job search, your challenges, your wins. But today we're going to put a little bit of a focus, like I said, on networking. So at about 6:30, we're going to switch gears from our kind of free chat conversation into I have some scenarios that we can practice when it comes to networking. These are like real life things that can happen and we can start kind of practicing out loud. And like I said, I encourage having your video on so you can get comfortable, being present on camera, and we'll get started. So we have Marin here as well, pursuing construction project management from Lambton. Welcome. And we have Monea from the Philippines, an international student at Lambton. We have a lot of Lambton in the house. You guys should all meet in real life too. Studying construction project management. Awesome. So we've gone through the introductions already. We're on track here. And I also want to share as well, we do have a Devant community, and Kate will put it in the chat, but the community page is really great on Facebook. So if there's ever kind of questions that come up, feel free to post it on there. You can always tag me or Kate in the comments so we can answer there. And it's a good place to kind of, vet out some struggles that you might be having or questions, because likely if you have the question, there's going to be other people who have questions as well. And if you have questions throughout, feel free to raise your hand and then we'll call on you to get your question out, or you can type it in the have additional future events, which Kate will share in the chat as well. We have events every Wednesday. What's the next one coming up, Kate? Can you remember?
Next week is our immigration Q&A, which is a really big one. We actually have a Canadian immigration lawyer coming, and she is on hand to answer your questions about your pathway to PR. If you want to stay, work, and succeed in Canada, that's what we're here to do and help you do. So she's there to answer any of your immigration questions, and that's free as well. So it's a great session.
Awesome. So we can go to the next slide. Okay, so we like to start these off by talking about our wins. So the last time we met was a month ago, and I want to know if there's anyone in here that has any wins that they'd like to share, whether it has to do with, you know, something maybe about getting used to coming to Canada or with your job search. We want to know what's going on in your life with your wins. And maybe Kate can start us off. I'm going to put you on the spot. Do you have a win for this week?
A win. Oh my gosh. Career wise, I did a huge, you know, when you have one of those massive projects that a manager has asked for, and it's, you just know it's this thing that you're constantly working on, but then all the other things are happening as well, and you're getting emails and you're getting other projects, but this one huge project that you know your boss is looking for is looming over you almost. And I finally got it done this week. It was a big project. So I'm free, you know, when you have that list and you can just cross it off your list, like, yes, that one is done.
Weight off your shoulders.
Hugging me for it. It's awesome.
Oh, that's awesome. We have Devika here. I would love to hear your win. Feel free to unmute.
Yeah. Hi, Michelle. Hi, Kate. How are you guys doing?
Hi.
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. So how's your UK trip? How has it been?
Oh, your UK trip, Kate?
Oh,
Yes.
it was great. Thank you
Good
for
memory.
asking. Yeah,
Yeah.
good memory for sure. Yeah, we went back home doing a lot of wedding planning. I'm actually getting married in
Oh, congratulations.
in 3 weeks. Yeah, so lots of planning. So that's why we went back.
Okay.
But yeah, it was lovely.
Good to
seeing
know.
family and planning everything.
Nice. So I think I have caught up with you guys April or May first week. I think somewhere in April, I guess. So when it comes to, I think, wins I have in this week, I don't know, maybe not freaking out when things are going very badly. I think that can be a win. Maybe that's what I can consider.
Yes.
Challenges this week, I have moved to Canada. It's been a month and I'm struggling with accommodation like crazy.
Oh
So,
no.
yeah.
Where did you move to in Canada?
Toronto.
Okay. Housing is hard everywhere, but I can imagine in Toronto it's quite pricey on top of everything, right?
Yes, true.
How are you liking Toronto though? Or have you been exploring?
Yeah, it is beautiful. Summer is really nice. So yeah, I'm having good time, but yeah, accommodation, jobs and all is a little here and there. So yeah.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for sharing. And I want to point out as well that Devika did something awesome too, that if you're ever meeting with someone and you have maybe not a good memory like me, I always like to write things down if I meet someone. So let's say I was meeting Kate and she mentioned something like going to UK, writing that down. And then if you were to meet with Kate again, you can always refer to your notes so you can make that conversation again. And it's a great way to build a relationship. Now we're going to remember Devika, right?
Absolutely. I definitely will. That just makes you smile, doesn't it? When someone remembers something about you and it's like, you're so friendly and now I'm going to remember you always. So
yeah.
Thank you.
Good. We can learn something from everybody. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
We have Rashawn here from Nepal who's pursuing AI machine learning at Lambton College. Look at so many Lambton College here. That's awesome.
Amazing.
Definitely should be networking together. Like this is a great opportunity to meet each other as well. And not only just professionally, but like personally, especially if you're new to the area, like plan some times to explore your new area together and get used to the lay of the land.
Yeah, that would be great. I want to come.
I know.
Tour group and just wander around and like try different, cafes and different places to visit.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Who else has something they want to share? Was there anyone here from last week's workshop too that they want to share maybe something they learned or a win that they had from the last time we chatted or challenges? Don't be shy.
I want to hear some new voices. It's nice to actually chat for real. You know, you go to so many webinars where it's just, you know, the speaker talking and slideshows, and we really love these events because, you know, you get to actually get to know you properly. And
Yes.
okay, Kashi.
Yes. Yeah, you got the floor.
Hi, so this is my first time that I'm actually attending a workshop like this.
Oh, well,
And
Welcome.
so the wins, there are like honestly no wins right now. It's just like challenges that I've been facing. So the biggest challenge which I'm facing is of course about the job. Like it's so difficult to find a decent job here in Toronto. It's like something, you know, that can actually help you build your career as well. So that's something really a challenge, which I'm facing from last couple of weeks. And the wins is like no wins. So yeah, that's all.
So sorry, that was no wins you said for right now?
Yes, no wins for now. But yes, there is this one thing which I have seen in myself that I've been like, you know, I'm getting more confident in approaching people. And I'm participating more and more in events, and you know, I'm getting used to being a part of the crowd, which I wasn't earlier. So that's kind of like a win for me.
Yeah, I'm even saying it's a win for you to be raising your hand and talking to us like this too. This is great. Like it's a good practice to get yourself out there, you know? And so
Thank you.
when you were saying kind of looking for, I guess you're looking for part-time work.
Yes.
Yeah, that's where networking can really come in handy, because I know you're probably coming across a lot of like customer service positions, which are really great, but it sounds like you're looking for something that's going to give you more direct skills within your career, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
That's where definitely networking can be handy, because there might not always be something in that part-time field, because usually they want people at full time. It's hard to find those part-time positions, but having those conversations with people and kind of showing them like what you could do for them, especially as like a business owner, I can say that sometimes it's hard to really see what we need because we're so busy running our own business. But kind of, you know, having conversations with people and saying, you know, I could be doing these things for you, just kind of telling them what you do and putting it out there, and you could be creating your own opportunities. Of course, it takes some time, but definitely something good to practice. If you can find a part-time opportunity like this, like that would be amazing, but it definitely comes through with having conversations. So hopefully we can get some practice in today of starting conversations in that.
Yes.
Yeah,
Thank you.
awesome. Thank you so much. We have Devika, also from India, currently pursuing cybersecurity and AI at OnTech Oshawa. I say it every time. I love OnTech campus. It's so beautiful. So welcome. And also shared your LinkedIn. That's great. If you're looking to connect with other people here as well, feel free to put your LinkedIn in the chat so you can all connect as well. So yeah, feel free to copy and paste that in there. We have Rashawn from Nepal, who's pursuing AI from Lambton. So welcome, awesome. Anyone else would like to share their wins or challenge for the week? I'll share my win. I say about this every time, but I was so excited. So I'm using Duolingo. Does anyone use Duolingo for practicing English or anything? Yeah,
Yes, I
Nick
did.
does. Awesome. Yeah. So I'm using it now, and I've just beat my streak. It's not a huge thing, but I'm just starting. So 35 days in a row. Yay.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool. Can you do that with other people? So if I got it, I could see you and stuff?
Yeah. So you can kind of cheer each other on. And if you're start to make friends that you're learning the same language, you can go on to challenges together. Have any of you done that, where you can challenge and get over 90%? There's kind of like different challenges that way. No?
I need to create an account and actually join.
Yeah, a really good
want to learn
way. Yeah,
Spanish.
Kapil is learning French. That is awesome. You like, if you can come to Canada and speak English and French, the opportunities will come flooding to you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't think I just shared my LinkedIn, but it's not, I don't think it's working, right? I did it wrong.
Oh, I think it's well, I don't think that's you. Oh, it is you.
Does it open?
I just saw Leanne. Okay, let me see here.
Don't worry about it. Okay.
Okay.
I just want to make sure I'm sharing it right.
Awesome. Anyone else like to share before we move on to the next section? Would love to hear from you. Don't be shy. And if you don't feel comfortable saying it on here, then maybe you can even do it in the chat, and I'll be happy to read it out loud so we can cheer you on for your wins or help you with your challenge.
I'll speak.
Okay, hi, Marianne.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, my name is Marianne, and I'm actually an employment specialist with Trios College.
Okay, awesome.
So
Welcome.
I'm here to learn, and also for those students that are from Trios who aren't online, I try to bring this information back to them. So the
Oh,
win was from last week. We talked about all the job boards, right? There were at least 12 that you had presented. So it was really great for the students that I presented to Tuesday, actually, it was. That they only went to the two, Indeed or LinkedIn, right? And
yes.
so when we talked about all of these other ones and the prospect of opening up other possibilities and learning through Glassdoor, like salaries and just job descriptions, it really, I think, opened up a little bit more for them and opportunities. So I thought that was a good win.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome to hear that. It's so good to be going to other career events because I really feel like you can learn from different people. There's so many things, resources and information about careers. So it's really great to get a full, continue your understanding and your research in the field. So that's awesome. Thanks for coming.
Oh, my pleasure. Yeah, it's been great so far. Yeah.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that. Awesome. Okay. I think we had something in the chat as well. There's yours, Kapil. Thank you so much for sharing your LinkedIn as well. That's great. All right, I think we're ready to go to scenarios. Okay, so we have a first scenario coming up here. Thanks, Nick. Okay, so let's imagine this scenario, and this is a real life scenario that could happen. So imagine that you're sitting next to someone from your industry at a conference. What would you say to them to start a conversation, or maybe even to continue the conversation? What kind of topics can you talk about? And I put a hint here. It might not be as easy to start a conversation that way, but to keep a conversation going, trying to ask an open-ended question. So essentially what that is asking a question where they can't just say yes or no. They need to give some more information. So if you're in that situation, what would you say to someone to keep the conversation going or to start a conversation?
This is always such a tough question and scenario because I feel like every single person kind of feels that instant gut reaction of, oh God, I have to talk to somebody I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not a very nice feeling, really. You have to push yourself outside of your comfort zone. So yeah, it's a really tough one. Even for the most extroverted person, there's always going to be that reservation. And then to have, English as your second language added on top of that anxiety, that it's such a good, I'm so glad that we're talking about this. It's really important.
Oh, we're getting some in here. So from Nick, it says, how did you get started in your organization role? This is great.
Yeah.
Always bringing it back to them. Especially if you're an introvert, your best weapon is to have a pile of questions to ask. Because if you can keep asking and getting them talking about themselves, that's pressure off you and you learn more about them. And they're going to feel really connected to you because people like to talk about themselves. So if you can keep going and asking them questions, that's your best bet. And then Shandell says, what brought you here today? Very good. That's definitely a good question to ask, right? So figuring out why they're there, what was their motivation, and then that's kind of going into more conversations. And those are great examples of open-ended questions to ask. I know this might not be as comfortable for people, but I like giving people compliments. I guess probably even working in retail for long too, that I'm just kind of used to that way, but even complimenting like, oh my gosh, that's a beautiful necklace. Something like that. That's kind of an easy way to, get a conversation going. I also really like food. So if there was food there, I would probably say something like, oh my gosh, have you tried the meatballs? They are so good. It doesn't always have to be work related. You just want to kind of get the conversation going. Can anyone else think of any other
I
conversation?
think if it's maybe a conference or somewhere where there is a meeting that's happening, I think the way that I kind of use is I'll observe more in the conference, like how someone is conversing, maybe their answers or questions. Maybe that's how I'll start saying, okay, that's a great question. So I mean, how are you enjoying the conference? Like, how is it going? I think from there, the conversation might go. That's a compliment, but maybe not a appearance wise compliment, but something that they have put in efforts, like how they have interacted in the conference or how they have asked a question or maybe answered something.
I like that. So kind of commenting on their approach kind of thing,
Yeah.
right? I like that. I think that's a really great technique. That's awesome. Thanks, Devika. What other kind of things do you think you can talk about? I always kind of like commenting, even like it could be small talk about even like weather or, you know, how is your drive coming in? You can say something like, you know, I was driving in, there was so much traffic coming over here, just kind of that small talk, right? To get conversation going. Or even if it was maybe a networking event where there was speakers, you can ask them who their favorite speaker was, to kind of get conversation going, and even just saying hello. A simple hello. I know that when I first started going to networking events, and I'd feel so awkward, especially even like as a student where you're really not knowing anybody, but I would try to find a table that only had a couple of people, and I would just say like, you know, do you mind if I sit here? I don't know anyone else at the event, and it'd be kind of nice if we can start getting to know each other, kind of thing. So, you know, taking that chance, finding a spot where there's maybe right beside someone and just starting kind of conversation from there. Okay, let's try the next.
You could use it as a good way of finding out about other events as well. So you could even ask somebody, oh, have you been to this event before? Oh, you have? Like, do you recommend any other ones similar to this? Because this one is great. You know, I'm really enjoying this one. Is there another networking event that you would recommend? Because then you get a win as well, because you can go to more as well after that.
Yes, that's a great point. So let's say at the end, so this is not on here, but let's say at the end of the event, you talk to a few people, maybe you traded information, LinkedIn or whatever. What do you think you should do after an event? Quiz.
Ooh, the infamous following up.
Yeah. How would you follow up, or would you follow up? Let's pause, because I know if anyone's typing it.
We should actually follow up, because that is what gonna that's gonna make it look like that we were actually interested in the conversation and we are interested in networking with the person. So it's not like that we only met once and okay, bye, that's all. But
Yes.
it's really important that you follow up with the person so that they also know that you were genuinely interested in actually having a conversation with them. So it's actually a positive thing.
Yes, and kind of like what Devika did as well. If you can remember something from the conversation and bringing that up in a message, because especially if they're meeting so many people, at least by tying it and saying like, oh, I loved hearing about, you know, your son's soccer game, you know, something to kind of bring up in the conversation. So they boost their memory of, you know, how you spoke. And I would definitely even suggest asking for a follow-up. Maybe, you know, maybe we can set some time this week and we can talk a little bit more and continue the conversation. I'd love to hear your thoughts on whatever topic they were talking about at the conference, so you can start building that relationship even more, because networking doesn't stop there, right? As soon as we're meeting people, this is the entryway, right, of getting to know someone. We want to be continuing it a little bit further. Okay,
Yeah,
let's
definitely. And what about, you know, if you get someone's business card, you can always write a memory or a topic that you talked about with that person on their business card, because then you have a stack of them at the end of the event and you can go back through and email those people and then remind yourself, oh, that was the person I spoke to about their cat or something. And then you can include that in your message. So you can even just write on their business cards, which is what I've done in the past. But people don't have them as much, so don't rely on that, I guess. But Yeah.
Oh, something that just kind of sparked my memory. So thanks for bringing that up. I showed this before. So if you've been into these events, you probably have seen this, but I just want to show it for anyone who's new. I don't know if you know, but on LinkedIn, there's a way that you get your QR code. So especially maybe if you're having a hard time spelling your name to someone, or you have a common name and you're trying to like show them on the list which one's you. A good way to do that, let me just go back. So hopefully you can see my phone. So I'm on LinkedIn, and where you see the search bar, if you click on that, there's a little square at the top, and I'm going to click on that. And it brings up your QR code like this. So it has your picture, your headline, and then your QR code. So you can always bring that up, or maybe you even want to do a screenshot of it so you don't have to keep going through that step. And if you wanted to connect with someone, then you can just bring that QR code and they can scan it and then connect with you right then. And you don't have to just rely on, hopefully they connect with you after. It's like, let's do this right now.
That's so useful. LinkedIn is just so great for so many things. They've really thought of everything, haven't they?
They have. Yeah. Are you able to provide the step-by-step to get the code? Yeah, I definitely can. Are you a part of our group as well on Facebook, Marianne?
I was going to say, I'll post it. I'll make a graphic and then it'll be easily shareable as well. I'll post it on social media.
On Facebook, did you say? Or
yeah.
No, I'm not on Facebook. No.
Oh, you're on Facebook.
No.
Okay.
No, just LinkedIn.
Okay. So connect with me on LinkedIn. I'll send it over to you as well.
Okay.
And then we'll also share it on our Facebook page.
Okay, great. Thank you.
No problem. Okay, perfect. Let's go to scenario 2. Okay, approaching a booth. So your dream company has a booth at a trade show. We're going to be having ours coming up. Kate, this is a good plug for you. You would love to find out more about the possibility of working for them. So imagine that situation. You're walking into a job fair. What is your opening line, or what are some things that you can say to a potential employer that you'd want to work for? What do you think you could say? And as you can see, there's no wrong answers. We just need conversation starting. So kind of my tactic, this is not necessarily a topic, but the way I like to approach going to job fairs is that, number one, I'm going to be looking at the list of different employers who are going to be there. And I'm going to prioritize who I want to talk to, because having full-blown conversations with everybody ends up being really confusing for you. That it's going to be like, what, I've had so many conversations, kind of create a plan. I like to create a list of my top tier people. So maybe 5 employers that I really, really want to speak to. And I don't go to them first. I first go to the ones where I'm interested in, but maybe not the most interested in. And you can go there and practice with them first. So go up with them and, start a conversation. You can go up and introduce yourself. Maybe talk about why you're interested in talking with them, or maybe finding out about what opportunities there are. But that's a great way to practice. So in case your nerves are right there, you can get those out with those employers that, it's nice to make a connection. Whether I pursue with them or not, it's not going to be so upsetting for you if you're a little bit nervous. And then you can kind of work up that courage and go over to your dream employers, where you probably have done your research and kind of ask some specific questions. Kapil, do you have any ideas of what you would talk to about? This is a nice tip. I'm glad.
The good thing about trade shows as well is that they are there to have conversations. So if you go up to a booth, it really doesn't have to be scary at all, because I've worked so many booths and I was behind the table, and oh my gosh, half of the work for them is to try and get people to come over to the booth and talk to them. So even the fact that you walk to the booth and say hello to that person, oh my gosh, I already love you, because you've done the job for me and I'm there to chat with you, and I'm already ready to talk. So I think in this situation it's great because they're already ready to make new connections. You just have to take the first step.
Yes. I even found too, I remember my first week working at Honda, I went to a job fair right away at Queens. And I remember it just felt like a whirlwind of all the people that we spoke to. And I can remember one person still that I talk with, and they will always stay in my memory because they were probably like the #1 Honda ambassador ever, that they came over and knew more about Honda than I did.
Wow.
He basically just came over and just talked about everything about Honda, like knew all the other plants in the States and just kind of talked to me about that. He ended up getting an internship, but I remember the first thing I did was went back to the manager and I was like, this person is going to be applying, not until like 5 months from now, but always remember that name. And I always remember too. And he ended up getting a job there as an intern. And then he even got hired for a full-time position, but I'll never forget him. Like, he came over and just kind of talked about his interest in the position. And that will always stand out to me. And even though I talked to 50 or 60 people on that one event, I'll forever remember him. So do your research and just show your passion for liking the company and you will stand out. I still remember 4 years later. So we have some comments in the chats too. So let's see here. Chandel says, I would introduce myself and commend them for what I admire about the company and organization. That's really good. And you know what, even like we were saying, if they even have swag on the table, I feel like that alone can be like a conversation starter, right? So what you admire from the company is great as well, and making sure that you're doing your research so you can give some good information. And I would definitely advise going off of the about section. I can't tell you how many times people would come over and basically recite our about section. But when I continue kind of conversation after that, it was hard for them because they basically just memorized the about section and it didn't really go any further. So try looking beyond that. Maybe look at their social media, what they've been posting recently. Sometimes you might find on company websites that they might have like a newsletter that goes out to everyone. I find that with really good information because it's usually coming right from like the CEO, and they'll give some good information on kind of what's coming up next or any wins that they've had. And those are great things to talk about. So we have Kapil here as well. It said, I would say I've heard about your firm and I want to learn more about the careers. As I'm already in the field for the past few years. Yes, see, and I like that Kapil's bringing in his past experience. So this is a time to self-promote. So if you have experience or, you know, any kind of ties to the company, maybe you know someone there, maybe you have experience doing something specific there or any kind of keen interest, talk about it. They want to hear from you, because typically what they do is just kind of like what Kate said with the business cards. If I were to get a resume and there was something that the student said to me that really stood out, I'm going to write that on their resume. I'll make a little note so I remember that afterwards. And so those kind of things, when you're bringing up the past experience, or maybe, you know, you're part of some kind of association at school, I'm going to write those down so I remember for next time and can relay that information to hiring managers, or remember down the road when, you know, maybe you're not applying right away, but I can remember those conversations if you're mentioning those things.
Yeah, it's all about preparation, isn't it? It really is. Like, to turn up at an event, it's already scary, or, you know, you may be a little bit worried about approaching people. So the more you can arm yourself with knowledge and preparation, the easier it will be. So it's more work, but then it's just going to be so much more successful. So yeah, like in the first scenario, obviously just having that list of questions that you could start a conversation with, you know, even just 5 in your back pocket. And then, yeah, in the second scenario here, just having the top companies that you definitely want to talk to, and then just some fun facts and you know, things to talk to them about that will make you stand out. That just will go so far.
Kate, I'm going to put you on the spot here for a second.
Oh gosh.
So we've already had a few job fairs already at Devant. What has been some feedback from employers of what they've appreciated hearing from students? Did you ever get any feedback like that?
Yeah, so at the Get Hired at Home event is a virtual expo, so it's all online. So we're removing that kind of in-person nerves from it, which is great for you guys. This is a way to talk one-on-one with these employers. But first off, it's by just like the chat that you have here. So obviously you need to make yourself stand out in the chat, and show that you have researched that company or you're really interested in that role. And then the employer can then respond to you and book a one-on-one interview or a video call. So it's a bit unique in that way, but yeah, it's finding ways to interact with that chat. So what would you say with that, Michelle, would be some tips to come across well in a chat situation?
Sorry, just 1 second. I just see we have something from Marin as well. I have heard about a technique called the elevator pitch, which is a 30-second long self-introduction and letting the person know what achievements we have so far related in the industry. Yes, that's a great approach. So the elevator pitch is essentially answering, tell me about yourself. What are your experiences? What are your passions? What do you want to be doing in the future? And the reason it's called an elevator pitch is essentially it's supposed to be in the time. If you were to be in an elevator with someone, you're on the ground floor and you're going up to your floor, you're getting your introduction out in that time. So it does take time to make. You definitely have to have an understanding of your self-awareness of your skills, your passions, kind of your direction. But if you're a part of the Devant community, we do have our master classes, and we have a whole entire section on building your elevator pitch. So if you need help with that, and we also do have one-on-one services, so you can book an appointment with me or our other career coaches, and we can help you build your elevator pitch as well. Something else that I thought of as well, if you're going to any of these kind of events, you don't always have to talk about the company. You can always talk about kind of what's happening in your industry as a whole. So I would definitely even say if there's any kind of professional associations, or if there's even magazines or email lists that go out related to your industry, start signing up for those, because those are going to be really good conversation starters in your head, right? So you know what's going on in the industry right now, and those are really going to be some really great conversation starters. So if there's something new that's happening, you can talk about that. Say, can you believe what happened with this? Or what are your thoughts on, this happening in our industry? It's going to get you used to using that language, and you're going to come across really professional and experienced just by knowing these things already. Okay. So that's it for the scenarios. I know that a few of you were talking about having challenges with your job search. Are there any particular questions? We can kind of have this as kind of an open Q&A now, just about job search or life in Canada in general that we can help you with. Or even maybe other questions about networking in general if you have questions. We talked about this last week as well. I always like with any of these things to kind of take baby steps. So I know a few were saying they were still shy about, speaking out loud for networking, but that's where LinkedIn can get really handy too. So maybe if you want to feel first comfortable with typing and getting comfortable there, making conversation and introducing yourself, that's kind of a good baby step to take. And then maybe even volunteering or joining even just, any kind of events on campus. So you can just get used to having conversations with people in English. That's kind of a good starter. It doesn't always have to be business related right away, just kind of getting used to conversing in English. How do you formally approach an employer over LinkedIn? That's a good question. So when it comes to networking on LinkedIn, it could really be a rabbit hole that you could be on there forever. So I would first approach it by being strategic. So coming up with the list of employers that you want to reach out to first, then thinking who I want to reach out to. So I'm going to pose a question to you. If you were wanting to connect with an employer, would you want to connect with a recruiter or someone in HR or someone in the department that you'd want to be working in? Tell me which one you'd approach and why. There's no wrong answer, but I just have my opinion. I'll wait and see. Recruiter would be best option. Okay. And why do you think that? I want to hear some more. And just so you know, every time I'm going to encourage speaking out loud, because I tell you, where growth comes is where you're doing things that are uncomfortable and scare you. It will be good. Someone in HR, because that's the person who paints a picture of the recruiting process. Yep, that's a very good point. They understand what's going on in the recruiting process. That's where your resume you'll get sorted. Yeah. So in my opinion, I like reaching out to someone in the department. I'm just going to read this comment too. It's been more than a month in Canada and I've applied on Indeed, Glassdoor, LinkedIn, updated my resume as per Canadian format, all in vain. Okay, we will get to that one too. Okay, thanks for sharing that. So I would approach someone who works in the department. Both would be fine, but why I say someone in the department, before COVID and while I worked at Honda, I would say on average, I would receive messages about, you know, what opportunities do you have coming up? Can you take a look at my resume? A lot of copy and paste generic messages being sent out, probably about 50 or so per week. And I couldn't respond to everybody. It was too much. And I was not only getting people, you know, within the Alliston area where I was working, but I was getting people worldwide messaging and I couldn't respond to everybody. I find it better to be connecting with someone in the department as well, because one, they're going to receive a lot less messages, but two, they're going to have their finger on the pulse, meaning they're going to know exactly what's happening in their department as far as hiring goes. Because, you know, working in the recruiting area, I'm going to know when they need someone, like right when they kind of made that decision and I post it. So I might know a day before it goes public, but that's basically it. Someone who's working in the department is really going to know what's happening. So they might know if someone's going on a leave, if they have a project coming up where they're going to need more help, they're going to have a more understanding of what's kind of going on there. But then also they're going to have some more specific information. If, you know, if you're just kind of reaching out and thinking, you know, I'm not going to get a job for the next year or so, but I want to start making a plan of, you know, I really want to be working for, let's say, Pepsi. And I want to kind of get my plan sorted out so I can be in a position to be hired after graduation. They're going to know more of the ins and outs. Recruiting, you know, they're going to give you some pieces of information, but it is going to be, for the most part, a little bit more generic. A department is going to give you more specific information. So my answer in theory is going to say, reach out to both. But probably put more effort into reaching out to someone in the department because, you know, that's going to be a better use of your time. And then as far as sending out a message, stay away from copy and paste messages. That is like a number one. I ignore all those, and any other recruiters I know, they just ignore them too. It's just, there's not enough time and they know that you're not taking the time to do that. So they're not going to think that's worth their time. So I would say take a look at their profile and comment on something that you might have in common or you find interesting and draft that into your message. So introduce yourself, make a comment on one of those things. And if you feel comfortable to, I find kind of the best approach, you have the option that you can actually do a voice recording on LinkedIn. So when you're sending a message, and if you do that, I tell you, if you probably your response rate will go up like 40% because people are already going to get that introduction. And it's so much harder to ignore someone who sends a personalized message like that, you know, and they might even just reach out to you and say, I didn't even know you could do that on LinkedIn. And that already starts a conversation. So I would say practice doing that. And just so you know, I've done this before as well. If I'm sending a message, it comes up with a pop-up once you're done recording and it says, is this fine to send? It will give a confirmation. So if you feel like the first message, you know, didn't sound as well, re-record and then send it again. So we have some messages here too. So I want to go back to the one from iPhone here. So it's been more than a month in Canada, have applied on Indeed, Glassdoor, LinkedIn, updated my resume as per Canadian format, all in vain. Okay. So I want to ask you, if you feel comfortable to unmute, I just want to ask you a couple things. First and foremost, when you're applying to a position, are you tailoring your resume and all of your cover letter and all that to the job that you're applying to? Yes, you are doing it. Okay, good. So that's usually kind of the hard thing. And sometimes it is like a numbers game in a way. So I would say on average, for every 15 or so resumes that you send out, I would say you should get one call for an interview on average. This is not a hard and fast rule, but I would say if you don't hear anything after 15 resumes that are sent out and you're actually going through carefully to tailoring your resume, then I would say maybe it's, an opportunity to relook at your resume. Maybe you're not kind of conveying the right information. We do have on the Devant website, you can use a resume scanner. So what you can do on there, maybe Kate can share the link to that, but you can put the job posting in, then put your resume in, and it goes through and checks for the keywords relating to the job posting. And if you don't have some of the keywords, it kind of gives you a report of what you're missing, and that could help you out as well. But I know it's really frustrating. This is why networking is really important, because for every job posting, on average, the companies receive about 250 applications. So about only 2% actually get a call back for an interview. So it's really hard to be going that way. If you're going through and getting a referral, your chances are getting higher. So if you apply to a position, on your cover letter, it says, I'm applying to this position, I was referred to by blank person. That's going to stand out a lot more to a recruiter, because you're coming in at a less of a risk to them. If you're already kind of having someone internal that can vouch for you, that's going to stand out even more. But definitely going through and matching for your keywords is definitely a big one. The second thing as well is making sure that you are not coming off generic. So diving into personal branding a bit, I'm sure you've probably heard of that term before, but it sounds really hard. But really the idea is just telling the employer why you're better than someone else. So not really better, but why you're the best choice. So if everyone has the same qualifications, what really stands out? And I kind of like to relate this to pizza. Most people serve employers cheese pizza, which kind of means that you're giving kind of the bare minimum of, I show up on time, I work really hard. And those are all really great things. Employers want that. But what they're really craving is the pizza topping. So they want to know your unique blend of your experiences, your values, your education, and kind of putting those things in. So if you can take the time to really dive deep in understanding of what your values are, what your interests are, what you're really great at, and leading with that, that makes it a lot easier to stand out. I'm going to give you an example. I worked at Georgian College, and for our 50th anniversary, we for the department, we did 50 interviews to people in one day. And my question was, what is your greatest weakness? Now, I had so many same answer. I had them all come back to me with perfectionism. So out of 50 people, take a guess at how many people told me that their greatest weakness is perfectionism out of 50. Take a guess.
46.
49, we got 49 there. So I actually had 48 people. So that's what I mean when I say cheese pizza, basic, everyone's giving the same answer. So if you just add a little bit of, an actual truthful answer that shows that you're self-aware, you're going to stand out already, because there's so many people who are just telling recruiters what they think we want to hear. And I tell you, you'll see recruiters, if you're giving them a basic answer, they kind of get this glazed look because they're hearing the same thing over and over and over again. And to just stand out by being truthful and authentic and understanding of what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, and leading with those, it's really going to help you out. It's really as simple as that. That's what personal branding is, just understanding what your strengths are and what your interests are. And it makes a world of difference. I tell you, try it and let me know. So we have some more questions up here too. Let me just go back and read. Okay. So Roshan, I'm looking for a co-op starting from September and had applied to at least 30 positions, but I didn't get any interviews till now. So how can I make my resume and cover letter that can land me an interview? So I guess that kind of relates again to the personal branding, but I do want to make a note on that as well. Summertime is, companies are still hiring, but they're doing it at a way slower pace because this is usually the prime time that people are taking vacations. So even though they are looking for someone in the fall, it may take a longer time than usual to be following through with interviews and that because, one person's taking a holiday than the other person is. So they're trying to find a day that works for everyone. And sometimes that pushes things back a little bit. So keep that in mind as you're applying, but you're on the right track if you're tailoring your resume and you're putting your personal brand within there, you're on the right track. So as you can see, it's still really competitive, but networking, trying to get an internal referral by, connecting with people that work in the company, all those things are going to be working in your favor. And I understand the frustration that you usually do have to apply to quite a few jobs, but kind of stick with it. Follow those things and something is going to be coming along, but that networking really comes in handy. So try to take the time to do that. I feel like, before I learned all the proper ways of doing a job search, I spent most of my time just going through job boards. And that is really kind of where you get that burnout because you're just kind of applying to anything, and that's exhausting. So kind of making a really good effort to plan out your job search, really target who you want to be applying to or what companies you want to be working with. And I would say a better use of your time is networking instead of just spending so much time on job boards all of the time, really making a plan of where you want to be going, making your efforts that way. It's going to take you a lot further. Then Devika, right now I'm an international student trying to find a remote work from home opportunity. I have 7 years of experience in IT, and I've even working with a few volunteer organizations. I love volunteering, so that's great. When I'm leading and managing different verticals, working on improving communication, leadership, and children's education. Look at, I can already see your personal brand in there. That is so awesome. So you're doing all the right things. I think another good point as well is, have you tried joining any groups on LinkedIn that are related to IT in Canada?
I think I have joined in groups and in groups, couple of groups that are working here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I have applied on Indeed, even approached certain people on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
They're looking for full-time positions. They were like, yeah, great profile, everything is nice. So if you can work, I have even given 2 interviews also. The problem is everyone are looking for full-time opportunities, and it's kind of really difficult. So that's where I have the gap.
Yes.
Because it's not just the tech experience that I have, given the voluntary organizations that I work with. I think more than my tech experience, I have more volunteer experience where I have managed a lot of things. I've worked with different verticals, whether it's PR, marketing, maybe program quality. It's like a lot I have worked in managing
It sounds like
stuff.
that's awesome. You have a lot of great experience. I would even suggest, when you're going on those groups, that even just kind of sharing different insights, like sharing your opinion on anything that's going on in the industry or anything that you've learned. I think sharing information is definitely a great way for you to be standing out. So when you're in there and kind of sharing your knowledge, like you already have some great experiences and kind of sharing that, that's going to make you stand out in the group, and people might approach you, or you can reach out to people who are also posting a lot and you already have a commonality because you're both kind of contributing to this group. So I'd suggest doing that. It's almost like you're showing your thought leadership within the industry and showing your expertise, because you already do have a lot of great experience. You can already, like I can already see with that experience, you can already be sharing knowledge that you already have gained, and kind of sharing that with your network might be a good approach as well. So maybe trying to get your brand out there and getting people to come to you.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You're doing all the right things. I'm so glad to hear that you're volunteering as well, because you're getting references that way, you're building upon skills, and you're doing something nice. So that's great to hear.
Yeah. So do you suggest any groups or anything, or any people maybe in terms of reaching out, especially in terms of part-time work?
I don't have any specific ones. I know the part-time part is, really hard, but what in IT specifically do you want to be doing?
I mean, I'm fine with anything. That's the reason why I haven't like specifically mentioned, because when it comes to part-time, when it comes to full-time, I can be specific. But when it comes to part-time, I think there should be flexibility when I'm looking for an opportunity. See, because of the previous experiences that I had, the best part is I have been involved from the beginning stage, like from pre-sales till the product is deployed. So I have been in all stages. So I'm pretty much comfortable with whatever that comes in. I'm not being very specific, because if it's a part-time, I think I need to be more flexible. If it's a full-time, I can be more specific, because there I'm looking forward for more concrete opportunities, right?
Yeah, I get that. I definitely find that that's usually a lot of people's challenge, though, when they are casting such a wide net. Because if you approach to someone and you're kind of saying, like, I'm looking for anything in IT, they're usually a bit hesitant to really kind of help, because they're like, oh, I don't know what direction to put you in, and I don't know if you're going to like it then last, and now I'm putting my name out there. So as much as it feels like you're kind of limiting yourself, it's actually better when you're kind of being more specific. So think of yourself as almost like you are a business of one, and you are offering a service to a company. So let's say, I have my business in career coaching. What are some ways that you can help me save time, save money, bring in business? Kind of thinking it that way. And now you're going to narrow down what exactly you can do. Things that you can do that you might not need a lot of training in, because you kind of already know it. And think of it that way. So when you are approaching people, you can kind of list the actual things you can do. When you go in and kind of just say, like, I just want whatever, you kind of get a generic response back. If you're being more specific, you're going to get more value in the conversation, and you can get a little bit further. So as much as you think you might be selling yourself short, it's going to look better if you start listing some really specific things. So turn your mindset and, like, pretend like you are owning your kind of side hustle in a business. And these are the things I can do for a company, looking at it that way, because especially being in IT, there's so many companies that would want help with different things as well. And feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. There's this one group that I'm a part of. It is a women's group, but it's a women's freelancer group in Toronto. And sometimes they look for people for kind of side jobs, and that might be an opportunity. I'm not sure if anyone's ever heard of Fiverr.
I know.
I'll write that in there, because I know it sounds weird.
Fiverr.
Yes. So it's a freelancing website. So you can post, almost like having your own business of things that you can do for people, and they can hire you on there.
Sure.
Fiverr has got a lot better. When it first started, people were very like nickel and diming for jobs, so you might not get paid very much, but I think it's come a long way that people are paying a fair price. So if there's things that you can actually do now that you're like, I can do this for a company, no problem, that's kind of a good place to kind of get your skills built up, your confidence built up, and then making money on your own schedule. So
yeah, makes sense.
try to check Fiverr out and see if you can even post some things there. I feel like once you kind of get the ball rolling, it just kind of happens that way, right? Like you're attracting more things. When it rains, it pours. So like when one person wants one of your services, opportunities start coming your way.
Yeah, makes sense. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
So we're already at 7 o'clock here. We didn't get to all of the questions, but if I missed one of your questions, feel free to share it in our Facebook group, tag me in it, and I'd be happy to respond in there as well. I'm going to flip it over to Kate, who's going to talk about the upcoming events happening. So over to you, Kate.
Yay, that was so wonderful. Thank you, Michelle, as always. Yeah, as you can see, they've been up for a while, but yeah, next week is the immigration Q&A. So please do come along to that. It is, a Canadian immigration lawyer. She's a barista. It's been a long night. And a solicitor and a Canadian immigration lawyer, so she can answer all your questions. And then, yeah, Michelle is back on June 29th, and you will be chatting about how to create a target employer list. So again, if you are struggling, not hearing back from job applications, this is a fantastic workshop for you. She'll actually be diving really deep into how to actually pick out those employers and make that list to really streamline that job search for you.
We're actually making the list as we go. It's like a guided activity. So we're going to have a list of people at the end of the workshop. So especially for many of you who are saying you're having a hard time, this is a great way to organize your job search. So I hope you attend.
Yes. And yeah, exactly. You can just learn these things, but then to actually be there and be guided and actually get the finished task done by the end of the hour is, that's incredible. So again, that's available. It's free to register. I did put the link in the chat. It'll take you to all of the events coming up and you can register online. If you're interested in cloud computing, we actually have Amazon Web Services. We've got 2 people that work in Amazon Web Services who are coming to that expert panel. They're going to be talking about careers in cloud computing, how to get there in Canada, what they did, sharing their journey with you. So some great insight from people from Amazon, which is awesome. And then, perfecting your LinkedIn profile. So again, we'll be running through the LinkedIn, all of the things to really showcase yourself the best you can on LinkedIn and attracting those people to you and making those great connections. So those are the next 4. As Michelle mentioned earlier, we do run events once a week. So again, join the Facebook group. That's always the best way to learn about what's coming up. And dive into your portal. You'll all have received an email at some point with your login. So log into your portal. That's where the resume scanner lives. That's where all our events are. All of those resources as well to help you with your job search. So
and if anyone decides that they want to take a dig at making their elevator pitch and they don't feel shy, feel free to post it on our private community page. I'd love to see it, and I can give you some critique on it if you'd like to. So feel free to post it there and I can give you some feedback.
That's a great idea. I'm going to definitely ask people to do that on the group, remind everyone. That would be great to see everybody's, just to learn about people too. I know we have that post at the top of the group that's like, welcome and tell us about yourself, but actually to have your elevator pitch to learn even a little bit more about it, that'd be great.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for attending. This was great. Thank you for being interactive. I hope you learned a lot and have inspired you for tomorrow's job search. Bye, everyone. Have a good night. Thanks for coming.